It's kind of funny. You've got these incredibly powerful AI agents that can write poetry or debug code like a pro. But then you ask them to do something really specific, like follow your company's unique workflow, and suddenly they get a little lost. Well, today we're going to look at a really elegant solution to that exact problem. It's all about something called agent skills.
All right, so here's the plan. First, we'll dig into what's really going on, the agent's dilemma. Then we'll talk about the tool belt that fixes it. We're going to peek inside that toolbox, see how an agent actually learns to use these tools, and then we'll pull back and look at the bigger picture to see why this is such a game changer.
Okay, let's kick things off with that paradox, right? We have these models that are just insanely powerful, but there's this weird disconnect when you try to get them to do specific, real-world jobs.
And this really is the million-dollar question. I mean, how can an AI explain something as complex as quantum physics, but then totally stumble when you ask it to generate a weekly report in your company's specific format? It just doesn't seem to add up, does it?
Well, it all comes down to something called the context gap. And honestly, the best analogy is to think of the AI as a brilliant new hire, fresh out of a top university. They've got all the brainpower in the world, right? But they have no idea where the shared drive is, what software you use, or the specific way your team likes to do things. They're missing that crucial procedural knowledge.
So what do you do with that brilliant new hire? Well, you don't just throw them in the deep end. You give them a handbook, you show them the ropes, you hand them a tool belt. And that is exactly what agent skills are for an AI.
And really, when you get down to it, an agent skill is super simple. It's literally just a folder. But it's what's inside that folder that matters. You've got instructions, maybe some scripts, and all the resources the AI needs to do one specific job really, really well. It's the perfect way to close that context gap we were just talking about.
In this image, it just nails the transformation. On one side, you've got this powerful but kind of confused agent, and on the other, that same agent is now geared up and ready to go. See, it's not about making the AI smarter. It's about giving the intelligence it already has the right tools and a clear set of instructions to actually be useful.
All right, so let's pop the hood and take a look inside this toolbox. What is an agent skill actually made of?
And I'm not kidding when I say it's simple. A skill is just a folder. The only thing you absolutely have to have is that SKILL.md file. That's kind of the brains of the whole operation. Everything else you see here, scripts, reference documents, assets, that's all optional. It makes the whole structure incredibly simple, easy to share, and super easy to build on. Okay, this slide really gets to the core of it all, that SKILL.md file. A great way to think about it is like buying a new tool. First, you've got the label on the box, right? That's the YAML front matter. It tells you the name of the tool and a quick description of what it's for. Then, you open the box and find the instruction manual. That's the Markdown body, and it gives you the step-by-step guide on how to actually use the tool. And here is a fantastic example of what a good label, that description, looks like. Look how specific it is. It doesn't just say something vague like PDF helper. No, it lists the exact actions, extracts text, fills forms, merges PDFs, and just as important, it says when to use it. That level of clarity is absolutely everything for the AI agent. So the main takeaway here is that only two things are totally required: the name and the description. Everything else is extra, but it's really useful extra stuff. You can add the license, mention any compatibility requirements, or add other info like who made it and what version it is. All right, so you might be wondering, how does an AI juggle dozens, maybe even hundreds of these skills without its brain just melting? Well, the way it works is actually incredibly clever. It's a concept called progressive disclosure. It basically happens in 3 stages. Stage 1, discovery. When the agent starts up, it just takes a quick peek at the labels, the name and description of all the skills it has access to. That's it, just a quick scan. Stage 2 is activation. When you give it a task that sounds like one of those descriptions, then it decides to activate that skill and actually reads the full instruction manual, the SKILL.md file. And finally, execution. The agent just follows those instructions using any scripts or files it needs to get the job done. And this chart right here shows you why that whole process is so darn efficient. At startup, you can see the agent's context window, think of it like its short-term memory, is barely being used. It only loads up all the detailed instructions when it's actually working on a task that needs them. This is what keeps the agent so fast and light on its feet. And get this, the magic number is somewhere between 50 and 100 tokens. That's it. That's the tiny, tiny amount of memory each skill's label takes up when the agent starts. It's this incredible efficiency that lets an agent have access to a huge library of skills without slowing down at all.
So, a simple folder with some instructions, why is this such a big deal? Well, when you zoom out and look at the bigger picture, you realize this simple idea has massive implications for the entire AI world. Let's talk about that.
The key is that agent skills are an open standard. That means anyone can build one and anyone can use one. Think about it. Someone can build an amazing skill for, say, legal contract review. Now, that one skill can be used by tons of different agents. It lets us bottle up specialized knowledge, give AIs brand new superpowers, and build workflows that are consistent and reliable every single time.
And really, it's a win for everybody. If you're a skill author, you can build something once and share it everywhere. If you're developing an agent, you can instantly give your users powerful new features. And maybe the biggest win is for teams and companies, because now they have a real way to capture and share all their unique internal knowledge in a format that's easy to manage.
Now, this whole idea originally came from the folks at Anthropic, but they did something really smart. They released it as an open standard. And now the whole AI community is jumping in, using it, and making it better. That kind of collaboration is why this is growing so fast.
So, I'll leave you with this one final thought. If you could give an AI a brand new, reliable superpower just by writing down a few instructions and putting them in a folder, what would you build? What would you teach it to do?